Might as well call this podcast an unboxing video, because there sure is a heck of a lot to unpack. I recently found out the Denver Broncos hired Packers OC Nathaniel Hackett to be their next head coach. But come on, take the field goal, take the point. Win the game.
Oh, you have to.
See you all later. Hello, everybody. Hi, I hope you're having a good day. Welcome to Ruffing the Passer, the show where I talk football, miscellaneous stuff, and mostly football. I'm your host, Sam Ruffing, and boy, do we have a lot of storylines after this weekend of football. And not all of them are about teams that are playing. So let's dive into it. Where do we begin? I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs won against the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game to advance to their third Super Bowl in 4 years. And also had some of the most lucky calls go their way. The Philadelphia Eagles stormed past the quarterback-less 49ers to make it to their second Super Bowl in 5 years. And the Denver Broncos have hired Sean Payton. But the cherry on top of all of those headlines is that after 23 seasons of play, including ups and downs, winning 7 Super Bowls, and going out in a horrific fashion losing to the Dallas Cowboys, Tom Brady has announced his retirement from the NFL. For real this time. Hopefully. That would be great. Please. Now, I was certainly surprised to hear this news. I found out when I was checking my notifications and fantasy was like, is Tom Brady the greatest fantasy player of all time? And I'm like, well, I guess he's been playing the longest and he plays quarterback, so he gets the most points. But then they're like, as he announces his retirement, I'm like, wait, what? So I look it up and yeah, Tom Brady's announced his retirement. Now, I went through this last year, and I was burned after making a video celebrating. I was like, woohoo, he's gone, and it felt a little weird, and then, not long after, he decides to unretire, and didn't see that coming. It was really strange, but honestly, it's just so weird. Like, the way it all happened and the way it was ended, it was honestly rather sad. It was very, very sad. I mean, last year he retires for all of 40 days after, it's leaked by Adam Schefter because the man can't just let anyone have any privacy. He has to know everything, and somehow he knows everything. Like, how? How does Adam Schefter know everything? And then 40 days later, he's like, yeah, never mind, I'm coming back. And then from that point on, how should I put this? He removed his head coach, Bruce Arians, who he had won a Super Bowl with, then went 13-4 the very next season, only to lose in the playoffs. But otherwise, he had a really good run with him. He replaced him with Todd Bowles, so a complete and utter downgrade at head coach. He lost Antonio Brown at the end of last year, but his O-line got hurt. Gronk retired. He had some marriage troubles in the season. He left training camp for like 2 weeks for whatever reason. They got off to a slow start. They almost lost the division to the Carolina Panthers, and Brady got divorced, sadly. And then he ended up getting humiliated in the wild card round, finishing his career by losing to 2 teams he had never lost to in his career, the Atlanta Falcons and Dallas Cowboys. And he went 8-9 and shouldn't have won that division. Now, this was just like, that is a decline that's that is unmatched. I mean, obviously there are worse declines in the NFL, like Joe Namath going to the Rams and throwing 16 interceptions in 4 games, I think, to end his career. And then, obviously, he had Ben Roethlisberger's ride last year, which was kind of sad, but he didn't make the playoffs. He had Brett Favre finishing his career in Minnesota with a horrific age 41 season, I don't know. That wasn't that great. And then you have Peyton Manning, who went to the Super Bowl and won it despite having his worst year as a quarterback ever. I mean, it was even worse than the one where he didn't play. And Brady, I mean, he had everything set up. He won a Super Bowl in Tampa. Could have retired then. Age 43. Or was he 44? No, he was 43. Age 43, won the Super Bowl in Tampa. Could have just called it quits there. Relax with the family. Live out the rest of your life. Be perfectly happy. And then he came back for another year, and they signed all 22 offensive players, and everyone thought they were going to repeat. But he ended up losing the wild card round and the divisional round, promptly retired. However, it was still a good year, and his team fought hard against the eventual Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. He led the NFL in touchdown passes that year. Didn't have many interceptions, had a great season. His last sack would have been Von Miller, which would have been just beautiful. I mean, Von Miller, of all people, deserves to be the last one to sack Tom Brady. Instead of just staying retired, having a happy marriage, maybe, potentially, I don't know, it could have gone downhill either way. Who knows? He decided to come back and just fell off the cliff. He jumped the shark, and though I have despised seeing him play since 2015, 2014 really is when I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm getting tired of watching Brady win. That was when I really started watching football. And then, 8 years later, he's still playing. It was honestly rather sad. I mean, it stunk seeing him win Super Bowl after Super Bowl, seeing the Falcons inexplicably blow a 25-point lead. But just to see his career, which was so great, like, no one's going to have, sure, Patrick Mahomes could, but I don't think anyone's going to pass his Super Bowl record for a very, very long time. 7 Super Bowls. That's insane. 10 Super Bowl appearances. Mind-boggling. And yet, he decided to go one last year, and it honestly just looked painful for him the entire way. When you watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers games, he was throwing it short, throwing it long, of receivers missing throws he would hit usually. And his teammates would drop passes, and you just see the frustration on Tom Brady's face, like, why did you drop that? Come on, guys. It was just hard because it looked like he was trying to just force wins out there, like throw his body on the line, like, oh crap, I'm near the end of my run. I need to get wins now. And you could tell he was impatient. He was frustrated with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Frustrated that he wasn't winning. And it was honestly pretty sad. I'm not a Tom Brady fan on the field. I was a fan of him off the field until, now I'm a little skeptical of him. But I haven't even gotten to the point where, his TB12 was taking PPP loans, and I don't know all the story on that, so I'll have to figure that out, but that's not a good look. The man's worth $500 million and taking PPP loans. Okay. He was part of the FTX scandal, I think, which is definitely not a good look. And the man went from, loved but kind of a socially awkward, distant figure in New England to Oh, look, he's funny and goofy in Tampa. He won the Super Bowl and he's drinking avocado tequila. But then we saw his real side. His frustrated diva, oh, I don't like Bruce Arians, I'm going to bench him, and see how it backfires in my face. Oh, I'm nothing without Gronk. Dang, what a decline. What a sad final year. I mean, he didn't even get to go out like the greats of John Elway, riding into the sunset. Michael Strahan riding off into the sunset. Ray Lewis maybe didn't deserve to ride off into the sunset, but he rode off into the sunset after a Super Bowl victory. And then you got, of course, Peyton Manning being carried by a defense to a Super Bowl victory and just saying, see y'all. Well, I'm still going to stay in Denver, but see y'all. It was a good run. And now Brady had that opportunity in Tampa. Think about it. You win that game. You win the Super Bowl. You go out on top. You don't have to face Bill Belichick the next season. And you can be like, without Belichick, I won a Super Bowl. I'm the best. And yet, he stuck around. And though the Bucs had great seasons, it ultimately fell apart. And he ended up with the same record as the Patriots anyways in his final year, and that is just sad. But he had a great career otherwise. He will be one of the great quarterbacks of all time, maybe the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm a Peyton Manning fan, so it's hard to say that. But I can obviously see why people call him the GOAT. And enjoy retirement, man. Enjoy your $375 million of Fox Sports. Replace Greg Olson, I guess. And after that opening tangent, we shall move on to some happy news. Happy news. I have found out as of yesterday by opening YouTube and seeing Tom Grossi, yes, that Packers fan, that Packers channel, with a video that says how the Denver Broncos hired Sean Payton. What? So I went on to Google and I found out that the Denver Broncos have hired former Saints head coach Sean Payton, baby. We're getting at least 6 wins next year. Hopefully. Please. At the very least, I can change my intro now so I don't have to say the Denver Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett. Woohoo! Let's go. Man. After that long coaching search of, is it going to be Sean Payton? Sean Payton's the leader. Oh, wait, no, the Chargers lost and blew a 27-point lead. They're going to fire Brandon Staley. No, they didn't fire Brandon Staley. Oh, my gosh. They're just going to get Sean Payton. No, we're going to get Jim Harbaugh. Oh, Jim Harbaugh's going to Michigan. We're going to get Dan Quinn. Oh, Dan Quinn signed with Dallas. We're going to get D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans heading to Houston. I'm not going to lie, after it's been this long without a head coach, I was getting a little worried that Denver was going to end up with Jerry Rosburg, which I wouldn't have minded, but I obviously prefer Sean Payton. And you know what? I was surprised. I was a little surprised. I didn't think they were getting him after all this, but they finally made the deal. Sean Payton's heading to Denver. He's getting signed to an $85 million 5-year contract for $17 million a year, and boy, that's a good contract for him. Honestly, not as much as I thought. I thought they'd be paying him like $20 to $25 million, but no, he's actually being paid less than Bill Belichick is right now. Huh. Interesting. Anyways, the Denver Broncos had to send a first round pick from this year and a second round pick from next year to the New Orleans Saints in return for Sean Payton and a third round pick next year. So Denver is without a first round pick this year, but they do have Sean Payton now. They don't have a second round pick, but they do have a third round pick, like 2/3, because of the Colts trade with the draft last year. So we'll see what they do, but it's a good deal. I mean, yeah, it stinks not having a first round pick again, but you get a Super Bowl winning head coach who is steady as they come. I mean, he got Teddy Bridgewater to look decent. He got Jameis Winston to look decent. Hopefully you can get Russell Wilson to look decent. You get that guy for only a first and a second, plus you get a third. It's not a bad deal. Now, obviously, I don't think he's some Andy Reid or Bill Belichick type coach. I mean, people have made the comparisons to him with Mike McCarthy. They have a very similar record. And you know what? I'll take it. I'll take just a steady head coach and get wins. And if the Broncos go hot in the playoffs, great. If not, whatever. All I want from this team this year is a winning record or the playoffs. That's it. I just want playoffs or a winning record. I just want to see improvement. I want to be taken seriously as an NFL franchise. This is a great trade. I mean, the man, 15 years in New Orleans, turned that city around from Hurricane Katrina to prominent NFC contender. Well, except for those few years in the mid 2010s. But other than that, has been a great head coach. And Denver's situation is not nearly as bad as them. He should be able to turn it around. At least Russell Wilson should play slightly better. If not, then oh well. We made a terrible trade. I mean, at the very least, they should score with someone other than Russell Wilson. Shouldn't have to rely on him to play great for every game, or at least decently, or at least good. He should have some, Javonte Williams score, or whatever. But overall, I love this trade so much. Great hire. I should expect to see Denver at least be slightly better than last year. Hopefully, please, can we be better than last year? Man, it's sad being a Broncos fan for the last 6-7 years. But, oh well, just remain patient. Remain calm. We will be back, hopefully, next season. I of course, am not the Denver Broncos, but hopefully they will be back next season and return to dominance. Good. I don't care. Just please be good. That's all I ask. As for accoutrements that could accompany a Sean Payton with his Cajun cuisine, Michael Thomas might be a free agent this year or something. The Saints could cut him. They are in cap heck. And so if you brought in Michael Thomas with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick and Greg Dulcich and Javonte Williams, holy crap. That's a heck of a receiving core. Of course, the team needs a O-line, and Russ has to play better, but dang. That's going to be impressive. Now, hopefully, this man can turn around Russ. He can turn him back into the Seattle Russell Wilson that we know, where he was lining up under center with the play action, heavy running game, play action, get Russ moving, have him launch those 50-yard deep balls to Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, whomever, and just dominate everyone else in the division, in the AFC. Whew. Please be able to do that. That would just be fantastic. And, maybe Alvin Kamara will come over, but I don't think so. We're just gonna see. I don't have my expectations extremely high this year. At least they should be reasonable. And if they aren't met, then that's on Denver. That's on everybody. Yeah. But I'm hyped. All right. Well, now that we have the two big headlines out of the way, let's move on to the third biggest headline of the weekend. The Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs will be playing in the Super Bowl. Yay, the two number one seeds are playing in the Super Bowl. The two teams I picked to win, much to my chagrin, it was the Chiefs and Eagles. Now, not the Eagles, the Chiefs. I knew they were going to win. I didn't want to be right, but I knew they were going to win because it's just how it happens. I've seen this road. I've gone down this road before, and that's what happens. But anywho, this is going to be an interesting matchup. The Eagles with my MVP, Jalen Hurts, versus Patrick Mahomes, everyone else's MVP, squaring off in Arizona. Arizona, really? Arizona. I mean, yeah, it's a cool stadium, but I mean, why Arizona? I mean, you haven't had a Super Bowl in Dallas since 2009. You haven't had a Super Bowl in, a cool new stadium. Why Arizona? It was kind of lame place for a Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, there have been some great games there, but why Arizona? I don't get it. Either way, though, this will be an interesting matchup. You have Andy Reid versus his former team. You have Travis Kelce facing off against his brother Jason Kelce. Both have one ring. Both will be playing against each other. Both are great at their positions. Ooh, that gets me excited. You have Travis Kelce versus the Eagles receiving core and A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and, of course, Dallas Goedert and all the other company. You have the Chiefs defense with Frank Clark and Chris Jones versus the Eagles defense with Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. So many more players that I really cannot name right now because I'm not. Javon Kinlaw. Oh, he's a good one. This should be an exciting Super Bowl. The Eagles are currently favored by 1.5, and I can see why they're favored right now. So it should be it could very well be a tight scoring game. And it will be fun to see. I mean, just two high-flying offenses, two good defenses. Well, the Eagles have a good defense. This will be an interesting Super Bowl to watch. Not going to lie. I would love to see it. This was great. All right. However, let's get on to the the fourth topic of the show. Yeah, there's so much has happened. This is the fourth topic. The Cincinnati Bengals were completely hosed in the AFC Championship game. I mean, utterly hosed. Just where do we begin? All right, let's just. Two things can be true in the NFL and in life. You can have, situations where where everything's completely out of your control and everything's going wrong for you and it's not your fault. And yet also, you can take control and win, if that makes any sense. And yet you still lost it. Like the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. Had everything going against them. Playing in Arrowhead, which is not Burrowhead, for goodness sake. Their team trash-talking the Chiefs. Like, you guys haven't won a Super Bowl. You haven't earned that right. And you're not named to keep to leave. You can't trash-talk. But you can have the refs flipping you over every single play, it felt like. But also, you can have plenty of chances to win, and you cannot get it done when it's needed most. But let's start with the fact that let's just go down the list of what happened to the Cincinnati Bengals. All right. Let's see. The missed calls. The Bengals being spotted short on 3rd and 1 on 2nd down in their own territory before halftime, forcing them to run the ball on 3rd and 1 and pick it up, with Joe Mixon, forcing them to burn a timeout, which would have been useful later on in the drive when they were in the red zone and could have potentially scored, but they had to settle for a field goal. If the refs spot that ball correctly, and from my memory it looked like a first down if they spot that ball correctly, the Cincinnati Bengals can throw it, and they can get more yards, they don't have to burn a timeout so soon, and they can potentially score a touchdown to make the game slightly closer going into halftime. It would have been 7-13 as opposed to 3-13. But that wasn't called because, of course, if the Bengals get that touchdown, they win. In the end, they're up 24-23. But no, okay, all right. A missed pass interference on the Chiefs. I don't know when this happened. I just heard that there was a missed pass interference against the Chiefs at some point in the game, which would have probably been extremely helpful for the Bengals' cause. Which probably, that could have won the game. All right, the weirdo clock problem. What the heck was this play? So let's set the scene. The Chiefs were driving after the Cincinnati Bengals had scored a game-tying touchdown with Samaje Perine. It's 3rd and 4. The crowd is going nuts, and the Cincinnati Bengals stop the Chiefs short. It's 4th and 2, and they're about to punt. The punt team is on, both teams. But apparently, like a Rian Johnson movie, the ref comes out of nowhere and is like, wait, we had a clock problem. A clock problem, not, Anyways, we had a clock problem, and we have to replay the down. What? Oh, sorry, no, it was 3rd and 9. But anyways, they had a clock problem that no one could hear the whistle. The ball was already snapped. The play had happened. The Chiefs punt team was on there. But yet, they had to then replay the down. For whatever reason. They're like, wait, we had a problem. The play already happened, man. Let it go. And yet, somehow, I guess the clock was running down, and they gave the Chiefs another 3rd down attempt, which they were sacked on. But of course, because there was another chance, the refs threw a flag against Eli Apple, and more on Eli Apple later, but he was called for holding, and yes, it was holding, which in the NFL is 5 yards and an automatic 1st down. But even still, why the heck would the Chiefs have another chance? Why did they get another chance to go? Like, no one saw that. That was a bunch of crap. And because of this, the Chiefs got to move the ball even further up the field, which allowed their punter to get closer to the, end zone to pin the Bengals on the 5-yard line, practically dooming any chance they had at winning the game. Of course, they still could have won after that, but even still. Of course, there were more missed calls against the Chiefs that were not called, because why not? I mean, you had... Oh, let's see here. Oh, yeah, the phantom intentional grounding call. Late on that drive for the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow was in the pocket, and he threw the ball to Samaje Perine. Oh, he chucked it into the dirt near Samaje Perine. And the refs threw a flag for intentional grounding. Now, I guess I can see why this would be called intentional grounding, because he just kind of threw it in the dirt. He had no, chance of getting sacked. It was kind of weird. It was just like giving up on the play just so you wouldn't get penalized. So I can understand that problem, except for the fact that Samaje Perine was within like 5 yards of the ball. So he was in the area. He could have called that. Now, maybe I can understand if it weren't for the fact that in Super Bowl 51, and yes, I don't know how no one else has spotted this ever, the New England Patriots, on that game-tying drive that sent them to overtime, the first play, Tom Brady's about to get sacked. He's still within the, pocket line. And he throws the ball to no one. There's no one in the area. And that was not called intentional grounding. Yet this play wasn't called intentional grounding. How? Now, of course, the Bengals would convert, but even still, that just threw off a lot of the game. I mean, it resulted in loss of down. I'm sure the clock kept running. It was not, that was just another weirdo call that went in the Chiefs' favor. Oh, but it gets worse. After that, the Bengals punted directly to Sky Moore, and of course he took it back for a big return to the 40 because, the Chiefs are just the luckiest team in the NFL. They're really good, but they're lucky. Anyways, but on that play, there was a missed block in the back on the Chiefs, which was plainly obvious, which I saw in real time, isn't that a block in the back? I didn't say anything, but I saw it, and it was completely missed. If that was happened, the Chiefs would have had to get the ball where that penalty happened, plus there would have been a 10-yard penalty. So they would have had to go on further to get the field goal, and the way the Bengals defense was playing, they could have made a stop. But that's not even the worst part. At the end of the game, this is a play everyone saw. The Cincinnati Bengals were hunting down Patrick Mahomes from behind. and he was running towards the sideline on 3rd and 4, and he leaps out to get the first down, and then a guy touches him out of bounds, and he goes, oh, flops, completely flops. And of course, the refs throw a unnecessary roughness penalty, making what would have been a 60-yard field goal attempt a 45-yard field goal attempt, which of course the Chiefs hit to go on to the Super Bowl. But even worse than this, on that same play, what the refs failed to call was that the Kansas City Chiefs were completely holding Trey Hendrickson, Bengals defensive end, and if they had called that, it would have been 10 yards and would have offset with the unnecessary roughness penalty. But not only that, there was another holding that they missed on the Chiefs, just holding a guy up, not letting him get to Patrick Mahomes, which allowed him to scramble and get the first down. How do the refs see some of these wacko plays, make these horrific calls, yet can't see obvious holding on the defense? Like, seriously? I mean, not defense, the offense. If that play happens, it's 3rd and 4, there are like 8 seconds on the clock, the Chiefs have no timeouts, and they have to get into field goal range. Which would probably go to overtime, the Bengals would have had a chance. But no, because they missed that, they had to then, give the Chiefs 15 yards, set them up with an easy trip to Arizona for the Super Bowl. And you wonder why people think the NFL is rigged. I mean, with all these missed calls, all of them against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, against the Cincinnati Bengals. After, of course, the, Bengals blatantly, just called out the Chiefs with no rhyme or reason. Stupidly, honestly, but after all that, of course, the Chiefs fight back and reclaim their homeland and beat Burrow after going 0-3 to start their career against him. I'm shocked that this happened. I mean, and that whole late hit on the sideline, yes, by rules, I can understand why that flag was thrown. You hit him late. They've always called that. They always will call that, except for the fact that earlier in the game, Joe Mixon was hit late out of bounds, and that was not called. And, earlier in the season, the Chiefs decided to slam Russell Wilson on the ground on a 4th and 2 play. And the refs decided not to call that. Why not? You're going to call Patrick Mahomes getting lightly shoved, unnecessary roughness, but not Russell Wilson being thrown to the ground, which would have given the Broncos 15 yards, a first down, could have beaten the Chiefs in Arrowhead, which would have stopped the Chiefs from getting the number 1 seed. It would have been the Buffalo Bills, who wouldn't have had to face the Cincinnati Bengals. They would have had to face the Jaguars, and they would have won, and they would have gone to host the AFC Championship game against, I don't know who, I guess the Kansas City Chiefs, and they could have won that and gone to the Super Bowl. But no. Man, this is quite a rant. The Chiefs got the call, and they won the game. And you know what bugs me about that call? I understand, Oz said, that it was unnecessary roughness. But, I mean, for future reference, it's the dang playoffs. That man, Osai, is trying to make a tackle to stop the Chiefs from gaining a first down, putting his body on the line to save his team's season. He's not thinking, ooh, I shouldn't touch Patrick Mahomes here. He's thinking, shoot, I need to make this tackle. And you're just going to throw a flag for that? I mean, he didn't really hit him that hard. But, just let him play. It's the dang playoffs. Let them play. I cannot believe that. Just ridiculous. Having said all that, the Bengals had opportunities to win this game, and they completely blew it. I mean, where do I begin? Early in the game, their offense was dropping passes. They weren't converting first downs. They could have stopped the Chiefs on 3rd and 10, but no, of course, Patrick Mahomes finds Travis Kelce in the end zone for a touchdown. No, Marquez Valdez-Scantling for a touchdown. And then later in the game, it's 3rd and 2, and they decide to call up a shot play, and of course, Burrow throws it right into double coverage. It's intercepted. You had your chance there, Bengals, to win that game. And on the final drive, while yes, you were hosed by some calls, you did have your chance to beat the Chiefs after you converted that 3rd and 16. I mean, it was 2nd and 8, and Burrow just straight up missed Irwin. And then on 3rd and 8, like he did with the Super Bowl, Burrow holds onto the ball too long. He's all scared and whatnot. Ooh, what do I do? And of course, he gets sacked. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I blame this more on the offense than the defense. I mean, the defense held the Chiefs to 23 points. That's pretty decent. They've been holding teams all year. And the offense can't put up more than that. Really, guys? I mean, come on. Just unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. You had your opportunities to win there. You had your opportunities to win the Super Bowl, and you blew it. Yes, the refs were going against you, but you also blew it. And it is a darn shame that this happened, but I knew this was going to happen. There were going to be self-inflicted wounds. I knew the Chiefs were going to pull out some magical crap and win this game, and they did. And now they face the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and holy crap, the Eagles. There are people calling them frauds this entire season. Like, yeah, you're 13-1, but who have you really beat? Let's be real, who have you really beat? And then they lose to Dallas and New Orleans. Like, see, frauds, and then Jalen Hurts comes back and he wins and wins and wins. And, of course, they went out and destroyed the 49ers, and even though the 49ers lost Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson and had to use Christian McCaffrey, I still don't think they would have won that game. Like, the Eagles were just dominating the line of scrimmage, dominating every play. The offense was humming as always, and they have just looked so dominant throughout this entire postseason, all the way to the Super Bowl, all the way through the season with Jalen Hurts. It's impressive. Like, 2 years ago, the Philadelphia Eagles were called part of the Clown Club by Colin Cowherd for hiring Nick Sirianni and having one of the worst opening press conferences since Adam Gase in New York. And yet, and they also start this guy who was benched for Tua in college, who had to transfer to Oklahoma, almost won the Heisman. And he goes on to just dominate. Like, Jalen Hurts came out of nowhere. I mean, he was Carson Wentz's replacement. He's the reason Carson Wentz left town. And he goes out there and puts up an MVP-like season in his second year after leading, the Eagles to the Super Bowl, the playoffs last year. Out of nowhere, just like Nick Sirianni, the head coach. Just a team out of nowhere. Howie Roseman, a GM, doubted after he fired Doug Peterson, who won the Super Bowl. Hiring this Nick Sirianni guy. Trading Carson Wentz. Not re-signing Nick Foles. And yet they're right back here in the Super Bowl. Fighting hard. Saying no to the critics. Saying, we can do this. And it has been mind-bogglingly impressive to see. Good for you, Philadelphia. You earned the right to play in the Super Bowl. And Kansas City, well, as much as I hate the Chiefs and do not like to see Patrick Mahomes play, I cannot deny that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. And it's not close. Like, yeah, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow have good seasons, but until they win a Super Bowl, they're not getting close to the level Patrick Mahomes has played at. I mean, he's a man who is taking his team and just putting them on his back. You know what Andy Reid was before Patrick Mahomes? One Super Bowl appearance out of like 5 NFC Championship game appearances. You know what he is with Patrick Mahomes? 5 AFC Championship game appearances, all of them at home. And now he's going to his 3rd Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. The man took an already loaded roster with Alex Smith, with Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce, from that 2017 team where people are saying Alex Smith could be MVP. He took that team and just made it 15 times better by throwing 50 touchdown passes, lighting the world on fire, and in this past season losing Tyreek Hill and having Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's done nothing, and throwing for 5,000 passing yards, winning that number 1 seed with a lot of help, mind you, but winning that number 1 seed, playing with a high ankle sprain, and beating the Cincinnati Bengals, his arch nemesis, in Arrowhead. I mean, you know how insane 3 Super Bowls out of 4 years is? You know what quarterbacks have done that? Tom Brady's done it twice. He won to 3 straight with the, New England Patriots recently. And of course, he went down to 4 or 5 if you count the Tampa one. Peyton Manning never did it. I mean, he came close in 2015 and 2013, but he didn't make the Super Bowl in 2014, so that doesn't count, or 2012. Russell Wilson went to back-to-back, but didn't, get a third one. Has yet to be at his third Super Bowl. Hopefully that comes next year, but we'll see. Tom Brady again did it in 2000, whatever. 2001 to 2004, he was in 3 Super Bowls. I mean, the last guy to do it, I think, before that was John Elway, who is very much like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, John Elway took the Denver Broncos franchise, which was meh. And after a few years of being there, he led them nigh single-handedly to Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. The only difference between him and Mahomes is Mahomes won one of them. I mean, he looks like John Elway 2.0, only he's got a stronger arm. But it is dang impressive to see Patrick Mahomes do this. I mean, yes, he's had a bad division, but it hasn't been as bad as Brady's divisions have been. I mean, Justin Herbert's been good. They've had a few good Raiders teams. Obviously, the Broncos have been crap every time. But hey, that's the way it is sometimes. It's just, he's so good. He fights hard. He's can make any throw on the field. I mean, on Sunday, the way he was making plays with the underhand passes and the lefty pass that he was obviously sacked on, but even still, unbelievable. It's just not fair. He's got the brains, the quick processing power, and the athleticism. Like, you don't see players like this. You got maybe Michael Jordan, LeBron, but you haven't seen a guy like this since John Elway. Let's be real. It's great for them. I don't like the Chiefs, but man, is it impressive how great Patrick Mahomes is. And, of course, Andy Reid now having a quarterback, showing how good of an offense he can run. Still has very questionable clock decisions, don't get me wrong, but he still needs to work on that. But even still, that is impressive. It should be a fun Super Bowl. Joe Burrow. I'd like to move on to you, sir. What the heck? You are told, I've been told by the media, by friends, by everybody, by the way you just walk around, that you are a clutch quarterback. You are a man who can stifle Patrick Mahomes. You are the next Tom Brady. And yet, you go out there with the opportunity to win the Super Bowl last year. You have 7 drives in the fourth quarter. And what do you do with them? You punt, and of course, you get the fourth. That failed fourth down conversion. Not to mention, you didn't throw a single touchdown pass in the fourth quarter. You've only thrown 1 fourth quarter touchdown pass in your career. Like, people call Joe Burrow clutch. They call him, it's great. Yet the man has had the opportunity to win the Super Bowl, and he did nothing. Didn't throw a touchdown pass in that fourth quarter, even with the refs' help. On that opening drive touchdown to T. Higgins, he couldn't do much against the Rams. And yes, you've been sacked over and over again, but if he's such a great quarterback, he needs to stand in that pocket. He needs to deliver strike after strike after strike, like Matt Stafford did in that Super Bowl in the fourth quarter, like Tom Brady's done over and over and over again, like Peyton Manning, like Josh Allen. Well, Josh Allen occasionally, like Baker Mayfield did against the Raiders, like Patrick Mahomes did. And yet, Joe Burrow, who is supposedly great, has yet to do so. He's overrated. He's a great quarterback, but he's a little bit overrated. I mean, yeah, he played decently against the Buffalo Bills, but I mean, his team really, really dominated them. I mean, if Josh Allen had the defense that Joe Burrow did, and the offensive coach like Zach Taylor, I think he'd be up to a few more Super Bowls, but I think he would have done a little bit better by now, personally. I mean, the defense he's had, you know how many quarterbacks would love to have a defense that holds their teams to 20-ish points a game in the playoffs? You know what Peyton Manning would do if his teams could hold other teams to 20 points? He would go ape. Could you imagine what Aaron Rodgers would do if his defense could hold teams to 20 points? Well, actually, you'd probably lose it as well. But still, you had your chances. And in this game, he had his chance to beat Patrick Mahomes. Many chances. He tied the game up, yeah, but in the fourth quarter, I mean, he missed Irwin on that throw on 2nd and 8. He took a sack on 3rd and 8 instead of getting the ball to a receiver. Just inexcusable stuff, which he really should be better at. I mean, come on. Yeah, you had one of the greatest seasons in college football history going 15-0. You also had the most stacked roster in college football history. You had future Pro Bowlers everywhere and just great players, and yet still you can't seem to pull it off against the teams when you need to. I mean, sure, you didn't have your offensive linemen, but that didn't matter against Buffalo. You still got a win there. Why couldn't you do it here? Patrick Mahomes had a bum ankle, and yet he still managed to run for 4 yards and get that first down. What gives, Burrow? What gives? The man who everyone calls great in clutch has yet to perform when it's mattered most in the Super Bowl. I mean, Brady in his first Super Bowl, despite the fact he was carried there by his defense and run game and Adam Vinatieri, still got in the field goal range. Still got that, Adam Vinatieri play. Adam Vinatieri, beautiful kick. Peyton Manning did beat the Chicago Bears. Peyton Manning did throw that late 2-point conversion. I don't know why Peyton Manning's in this discussion. He's obviously, when he's had a defense, he's won a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, come on, man. If you really want to be with that next level of quarterback, if you really want to be that, you got to make those plays. I mean, come on. I know your defense I know your O-line's bad, but as we've seen, O-line sacks are sometimes a quarterback stat, and you got to help out your O-line there. Well, I don't know what else to say. This has been Roughing the Passer. I hope you have enjoyed this episode as much as I have. It has been a grand old time from a news week. Absolutely loaded. I don't know what else we're going to get over the few days from Thursday onward. I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Please hit the subscribe button if you like this video. Hit that bell to stay notified. For all my future uploads, hit the like button and share this with your friends and family. See y'all!